Last time we had a 1 a.m. tuner, this time we have a midnight patch. And there are a lot of different things to talk about, let me tell you. While this patch, I'm sure, had a lot of good intentions, it kind of failed on the execution as it created a number of different problems. So we'll go through all of that in this video. But in the meantime, I want to remind you guys that this is the best channel for anything NHL 19 related. So let's start things off with Hockey Ultimate Team. They created an autofill mechanic to sets so that with the click of a button, the system will take like 30 cards that it thinks you don't want. Doesn't matter if they're evolution cards, ultra rare cards that are like worth 100k. They're low overall cards, you don't want them. It's gonna throw them into the grinder, take them from you, and spit out a card that is absolutely not worth it. But you do it hundreds of times just to get that Joe Sakic, so it's worth it in the end. But yeah, that is the bad thing about this autofill system. We had it last year. They didn't bring it back, probably for this very reason, and, well, it works the same way. Though, one cool thing about it is it can autofill duplicates only, so I like that part of it. Something that this did break, though, was being able to select multiple cards to put into a set, which EA has said that that's a bug, and hopefully it'll be fixed by next patch, which could be a month from now. Hopefully it's not, though. Then we have a blessing with the quick apply option for contracts and healing items. Gone are the days where you have like 12 people that want contracts all at the same time. You have to go one by one trying to apply those contracts. The game freezes. You have to start over. It was crazy. And as far as I can tell, there are no bugs related to this part. So thank you, EA, for that feature. After that, we added OT lines as editable lines, which a lot of people have been asking for the past few years. Before, what would happen is it would take your best forward card on your first line, which could have been like your left wing with maybe 50 faceoffs if he was a 99 overall. He was going to be taking the faceoff every time. So you can see where the problem lies when that happens. But now, you get to choose who's going to be there. CE8, that wasn't too hard to put in. Then we have updated auction house and collection search flow. Part of this is they fixed the sorting so that in the collection, it goes from greatest overall to lowest overall, just like the previous years. I don't know why it was different this time around. And then they made it so that all the search parameters, and then when you end up searching, the cards that you find are all on one page to try to make things a little bit faster. That part I really like because it is a lot more smooth, a lot faster than it was before. The loading times are pretty good. I don't know if that's because there's less cards on the screen, but a lot of people don't like it because it's making it harder to flip cards, getting to that 1 hour mark, trying to buy cheap cards there, sell them for an even higher amount. I think it's just going to take some getting used to. But they were trying to mimic the other EA games. I think I saw this on Madden and FIFA as well. Lastly, we got position labels in edit lines. Let me show you what that looks like. So on the bottom of all of these cards, you'll see that there is a left wing 1, left wing 2, left wing 3. Sounds useful, right? Well, it's not. Until you get to the power play and the penalty kill. Here it's useful because some people kind of had trouble figuring out who's going to be the center, who's going to be the one taking the face off. And now it's going to help you see that easier so you can assign the proper person taking the face off. Up next in World of Chell, they're allowing people to create EA Sports Hockey League games outside of NHL 19, such as for tournaments or leagues or ladder systems, so that they don't have to try to randomly match up against each other. So that is also another welcome feature added to the game. Then we have online player indicators. If you have the setting on where you can see which player your opponent is controlling and which human player that is in EA Sports Hockey League, because you don't want them all to be the same color. They made it so they have different colors so you can't confuse that with your teammates. Then there are a bunch of different issues that they have fixed, some common ones, some rare ones. If any of these seem like something that you have run into, well, hopefully now you won't run into it again. We're going to scroll down here. They added a trophy win cutscene for completing Pro AM tournaments, an action tracker and box score to World of Chell, animations after, I believe, the game ends and the post-game screen, and even more things that you can unlock through hockey bags. Scrolling down, they've added over 40 Adidas template uniforms uniforms, which I believe just means more customization that you can do if you're creating a jersey. And now we get to the gameplay. Doesn't matter which game mode you play, there's something here related to what you do. First off, against the AI, they made it so that they poke check correctly because they haven't been doing that before. In threes, they made them smarter so they don't get stuck behind the net. Yeah, because they needed to be any smarter in that game mode. They're more spread out when picking up the puck from their goalie, which helps them not be cluttered up in front of the goalie, and I think at the same time helps them make sure that they just don't lose the puck pretty easily and then cause a turnover, which will then lead you to taking an easy shot at the net. AI logic increased to hopefully mean that when you're trying to pass to them along the boards, they don't just start cutting to the middle too early and not receive your pass. CPU face-offs are smarter, and your AIs will probably help you a little bit more in board play. Defensive skill stick, in case you didn't get the memo, if you go for a crouch block or just trying to block a pass, but you do it like right into a player, that's going to be a tripping penalty. If it wasn't before, now it definitely will be because that is what EA wants it to be. You can't trip the goalie anymore, which means you won't get a penalty for trying to poke check him. And then they made the defensive skill stick more accurate to where you want it to be. In the general section, we have an animation fix. Whenever a line change occurs, hopefully you won't lose control of a player as he's going to the bench if you have him selected. Face-off formations, I think some people didn't like the way that like defensive and aggressive was set up. They were just weirdly spaced apart. Player switching has been improved. Less goalie interference penalties, coach feedback, and desync fixes, which is when the game loops, it's not able to recover from it, and the game just disconnects. Up next, we have some goalie fixes, both for the AI goalie and the human-controlled goalie. A bunch of animation fixes, bugs included. The left stick should work properly now with precision pushes, things that I don't ever do as a goalie. But then again, I don't play a goalie. I'll tell you that one time where I made that amazing godlike save in a competitive game of NHL 19. They're more consistent in covering up the puck, which could mean a number of different things. Maybe they do it more often, maybe they're more successful in doing it, I have no idea. And they track pucks better on breakaways, which could mean that breakaways have once again changed. I don't know though, haven't had too many breakaways since the patch. For physics, an improvement was made so that when your players go down, they hopefully get back up. They fix it so that it doesn't switch your players when you get hit. That seemed to have happened to me all the time. It was very annoying. It was really just the fact that I was already going to switch players, so that since it switched players for me, I ended up switching to someone completely different, not who I wanted. And then improvements to getting up and stumbling. Puck pickups, because last year it was so awful, they need to remind us that it was awful by continuing to make improvements to it. Those improvements are in animations and consistency. And it looks like you may not be able to pick up the puck from as far away because it left you quote-unquote vulnerable. That sounds like it can break a lot of things, as people will think, oh, I could have got that puck before. Shooting, this one's an interesting one because they made it so that your shots blend in after you finish your deke. Sometimes it looked a little bit awkward coming out of like a toe drag or a sweep deke and then taking the shot. Sometimes it just looked really awkward. The next one, fixed for players sometimes turning to shot target before attempting one-timer. I'm gonna guess this is for those times where your players will look like they take the one-timer before they even receive the pass. So it caused your player to whiff on the puck. If it's not that, well, then fix that. When it comes to skating, the biggest one here is the second to last one. Changes made to pivot speed to make it more affected by player rating. And this is where a lot of competitive people in the community are getting upset over this change because it has made the skating a lot slower. It feels like it's a lot slower because when you're trying to make turns with vision control or like half spins, your players are pretty slow in doing that. So that's a tough one because it doesn't look so good so far. But at the same time, when it first came out, I was like, this is completely unrealistic and this needs to be nerfed a little bit. Maybe it's just because I've gotten used to doing it so much that it sucks to see it go. Then you have specialization bug fixes and tuning. Forget what specializations even are. Someone in the comments will probably help me with that. Are those the traits in World of Chell? Are those the traits in World of Chell? Why wouldn't they be under that category? Going into franchise mode, there are a lot of different fixes, and I have to be honest, I haven't played franchise mode this year yet. So I'm going to pick and choose the information that looks like it's the most interesting. The first one sounds interesting. Improved CPU team signing logic. Teams will now try to reserve cap space for pending RFAs and UFAs on their roster. From my experience in previous years of franchise mode, it seemed like whenever you got to free agency, you always had the best options because the other teams couldn't sign the best free agents. So it makes it a little bit more competitive there. If we scroll down, this one makes me a little bit mad. The top one here, added player handedness and player type as player search filter options. In Hockey Ultimate Team, we've been asking this for years, and they added to franchise mode, but not Hockey Ultimate Team. That's wow. That's terrific. Outside of that, it seems like these are a lot of bug fixes, some improvements on what you can see, things that could help you with your franchise mode, make it a little bit easier. In this last set, 2 improvements pop out for me. It's added functionality to the amateur player card that allows the user to open full career stats for amateur players. Being able to see those stats over the full career of a player, I feel will certainly help in your decision making on whether or not to draft them. And then improved logic in how the CPU will put goalies on the trade block when having 2 starters on the team. I think that makes it sound like they're not just going to give them away like candy. Finally, at the bottom, they added new jerseys to NHL 19, only 3 of them, and they disabled position lock for competitive versus games, so that it's a lot like Hockey Ultimate Team. With that said, that's my review of the new patch in NHL 19. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think of it, and be sure to check out some of my other content on my channel.